Last Wednesday, the Native Orchid Society of South Australia, otherwise known as NOSA, had a walk at the Mount Lofty Botanical Gardens to have a look at the Australian native orchids. There were 2 trips planned, one on Wednesday, the other on the following Monday. Wednesday was a wet day. In spite of that, there was a good attendance. Very quickly, a delightful display of king spider orchids were found. These orchids put on a lovely show, which made the trip worth it despite the grey sky. Nearby were the donkey orchids. Both the pure and the hybrids made their appearance in their small numbers. Hidden in the vegetation were some small, hard-to-see greenhoods. As we progressed up the hill, the weather turned against us. Eventually, the heavy rain meant that we had to call it off and we headed straight down the hill back to the cars. We tried again on the Monday. It was such a nice day. The sun was out, attracting so many people to the gardens. Everything was beautiful, and it looked so much better after the soaking we had on Wednesday. The warmer weather and the public holiday brought out a bigger group. We set up the hill and very quickly found the first orchid of the day, a donkey orchid. Further up, we found some more, particularly hybrids. As we passed the spot where we called off Wednesday, we entered a small clearing area that is a rich source of orchids. The star of the show was the bearded orchid, if only we could find it, which, thanks to previous knowledge, wasn't that hard. This multiple flowering plant is the only one in the gardens that we know of, so it's a very special plant and one we treat with great care, even though the species is actually nationally quite common. Nearby was a small stand of Mayflower orchids. These plants were unusual. They were really tiny. Other plants we found in this area included the pink fingers and a hyacinth orchid stalk. Before, 2 other bearded orchids were discovered. These plants came as a big surprise because we thought there was only 1 plant there, and yet they were not the last ones we found. In all, we found about 10 bearded orchids. Now, the reason for why this happened was because of lots of people, so lots of eyes, but also because of how people walk with their heads down, looking at the ground. At a different site, we found donkey orchids and onion orchids. Then we descended back to the showcase where we found the orchids on Monday. As before, we saw the king spider orchids, the greenhoods, and some onion orchids. It was a good trip and everyone left happy, having enjoyed the orchids and the sights that come with any trip in the Mount Lofty Botanical Gardens.